If you were ever wondering what would happen if you gave a schizophrenic a whole bunch of, Parmesan cheese and told them to make a video game, Black Ops 6 would be the result. I think this comment here pretty much sums it up. Campaign went from an action movie to an acid trip. The campaign is centered on the premise that a bunch of disaffected CIA folks started their own militia called Pantheon, and then they developed a biological weapon, a WMD, if you will, that they were then going to give to Saddam Hussein. And frankly, if that's true, and this is really what an acid trip is like, then I think we all owe George Bush an apology. Black Ops 6 is, in short, 75% awesome and 25% missed opportunity. As with all of the Black Ops games, the plot is about as trippy as it gets for a first-person shooter. And, that's in my limited experience anyway, but it did surprise me by also being one of the scariest games I've ever played. Look, I don't play a ton of scary games, okay? Alien Isolation had my doctor consider blood pressure medication, and I played Outlast for like 20 minutes at a friend's house in college, and that's an experience that I still haven't fully worked through with my therapist nearly 10 years later. The first 75% of Black Ops 6 is spent trying to find a chemical weapon developed by Pantheon. You play as William Calderon, nicknamed Case, and you team up with CIA operative Troy Marshall and Jane Harrow to extract the Iraqi defense minister Saeed Alawi. He tells you that Pantheon is after him because he has information on the bioweapon that he was going to give to former CIA operative Russell Adler. Adler has been framed as a mole for a Nicaraguan drug lord and needs this information to help clear his name. So, obviously, he does the sensible thing and helps the team extract Alawi, gets the information which allows him to not only save the day but also get awarded a Presidential Medal of Freedom by Bill Clinton. No! Just kidding. He shoots Alawi in the face. Maybe I missed something here, but I thought Alawi had the information that was going to vindicate Russell Adler. I feel like shooting him in the face would make it super difficult for him to give you the information. I don't know. So the gang arrest Russell Adler and bring him to the CIA just to end up getting suspended for allowing Alawi to get killed. Sure, suspend the team that was investigating the CIA mole and might have a lead on a bioweapon that's possibly in the hands of the leader of one of the largest state sponsors of terrorism. Surely that will not backfire in any way. Oh, weird, it immediately backfired. The gang realizes that Adler might be the key to getting information on Pantheon and their dastardly plans for world domination. So they break him out of a CIA black site in a bunker underneath a political event for Governor Bill Clinton. That's right, Bill Clinton is in this game. For like 5 seconds. You don't get to talk to him, he doesn't get to talk to you, he's just there, on stage, talking to some random guy about his trip to Epstein Island. It was crazy, man. Hillary was pissed. She started writing his name on some sort of list with JFK and Elvis. Anyway, tell Monica I need to see her in my office. I have a terrible Bill Clinton impression. The gang break Adler out of prison, but oh no, Pantheon was after him too. So they get into a gunfight, a bunch of people get killed, and Marshall, Case, and Adler have to escape by riding motorcycles over a bunch of cop cars and giving themselves involuntary vasectomies. One of the coolest parts of the Black Ops series is how it's interwoven with real events that actually took place. For example, Adler tells you that Pantheon has been engaging in weapons deals with Saddam Hussein, and so you infiltrate his palace and find a psychochemical weapon called the Cradle. Weird name, but sure, we'll go with it. What's cool is that Saddam Hussein really did have a lavish palace filled with antiquities and such that you could go through and explore a bit. It's things like this that make video games such a fascinating art form. The fact that you can engage more with historical places, although this game takes place 35-ish years ago, so it's not that historical. But it's still cool. The gang finds out that the Cradle was made in a factory in a mysterious, dark, and evil land known as Kentucky. Adler stays behind to track down Pantheon's head scientist, Matvey Gusev. It's always the Russians, isn't it? Marshall and the gang head to Kentucky to investigate the biolab, and thus starts one of the scariest missions in any video game I have ever played. While in the biolab, Case accidentally inhales some of the Cradle gas and begins hallucinating that zombies are after him. This level is terrifying. Mannequins come to life, but they only move when you're not looking at them, so you can hear their footsteps coming up behind you, but you never see it. Then you start hearing a woman's voice telling you how the Cradle was originally intended to be a performance-enhancing drug. Seriously? Why not just take some good old erythropoietin or gamma hydroxybutyrate? Those are really difficult to say. Why go through the trouble of making a whole new drug if the end result was going to be the traumatization of me? I am not okay. Heck, even the Nazis just used meth. And now we've officially reached the spoiler alert portion of the video. You've been warned. It turns out Case was the only test subject of this shiny new PED, the first case, if you will. And wouldn't you know it, it didn't go the way they were hoping. The gang finds out that the Cradle Project was shut down by the same CIA deputy director who suspended them, and that Pantheon was actually a construction of the CIA, but they were disbanded. Probably because their only drug caused this weird side effect where the test subjects would take a trauma dump in his pants. By the end of this very long, very traumatizing level, Case comes back to his senses just as the team learns that not only has Pantheon stolen the biolab stores of the Cradle, but Marshall's CIA handler, Jane Harrow, is working with them. Then you find out that a casino in the European Principality of Avalon, which doesn't exist, is wiring money to the Pantheon scientist Gusev, who's actually back in Iraq. Even George R.R. Martin is having trouble keeping up at this point. They capture Gusev, who reveals that the Cradle is being stored in Vorkuta, which I believe is a callback to the original Black Ops. Apparently I need to play that one again. I guess I missed quite a bit. The team captures Harrow and they bring her back to the safe house for interrogation, and this is where things get weird. Well, again. Adler gives Harrow some truth serum, and then suddenly we're thrown into a psychological study of a character who we had only seen in the first level and then in various cutscenes. We find out that the CIA sanctioned an assassination of her parents. There's a hint that Adler was involved in it, but by the end of it, you find out that Pantheon is planning on unleashing the Cradle on the US Capitol building. Honestly, just let them release it and see what happens. I have a feeling the American people won't notice a difference.
Aww. Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play.
I think we should yell about this. Harrow escapes and Case goes after her, eventually getting exposed to more super meth and then kills Harrow. Marshall informs the same deputy director who suspended them that he's an idiot and that there's a whole bunch of super meth in the Capitol. The deputy director has another stern chat with Hunter Biden and the day is saved. Just kidding. Hunter Biden wasn't even there, but man, I cannot wait for his appearance in Black Ops 23. And that's it. That's Black Ops 6. I said it in my Vanguard review and I'll say it again. Video games have a chance to be another great mode of storytelling, given how great the graphics are and how easy it is to connect with the characters because of that. Not that you couldn't connect with characters before the graphics were this good. I still haven't forgiven LucasArts for canceling Republic Commando 2. What happened to Sev? Of course, I'll never forgive Disney for the evil they've committed against Star Wars at all, but I digress. The point is, the characters, the settings, everything about the games looks so much more realistic, which gives developers more visual tools for making the characters more relatable. Not that this takes responsibility away from the writing to make sure that the characters have personalities that we can connect with, and that's honestly where I think Black Ops 6 shines. The characters are awesome. Marshall is just trying to be a good CIA operative and do his job the best he can, so you really feel for him when you find out his handler, someone that he trusted deeply, ends up being the enemy he's been after this whole time. Russell Adler is still that uniquely mysterious and formidable character that he was in Cold War. We don't know a ton about him, but you can't help but respect his uncompromising devotion to mission success, even if it means breaking a few rules. A lot of criticism has been given from other reviewers about the last 30 or so % of the story, and I get where they're coming from. The last 2 levels or so are almost completely devoted to a psychological analysis of Jane Harrow, a character who wasn't really in the game in any meaningful way until the point where you capture her in Vorkuta. It's a fascinating character study for sure, but it kinda comes out of nowhere and then you end up killing her in the end anyway. As a player, I actually wanted to know more about Case and Marshall. How did Case end up being the test subject for the Cradle? Why did Marshall join the CIA and who was he before he ended up going after Pantheon? A bit more of an exploration of Adler would have even made more sense, even though he's not actually in the game as much as he should be. The actual gameplay continues to be a fun experience though. It almost feels like Call of Duty is getting close to becoming a first-person shooter RPG. You can pick up armor, grenades, and then sort through all of them and select which one you want to equip. The safe house is also awesome. You can explore and find letters and recording devices that give you more background on the characters and the house. You end up getting a blacklight and can find clues that help you solve an Easter egg, which is really cool. The behavior of the characters at the safe house give the game a ton of depth and realism though. It's awesome to just walk in the kitchen and see the German dude just cooking. It's super cool. It'll be really cool to see how they expand on the RPG influences in this game. I'd love more of an opportunity to level up my character, but it would have to matter for the outcome of the game. Although now that I say that, I'm realizing that one of the reasons I like Call of Duty is for the realistic warfighter situations, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can gain experience points in actual war. All in all, the game is awesome. Sure, critics of the last 30% of the story have a point. The deep dive into Harrow's mind doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It does drag a little even, but I don't think it's enough to make the game not worth playing. In fact, while I would never recommend dropping $70 on a video game under basically any circumstances, if you have a coupon or a gift card or a friend who's willing to let you borrow it, I do recommend giving it a try. Even with the faults of the ending, it made me feel something that a video game hasn't made me feel since the original Modern Warfare 2, a desire to know what happens next. Alrighty then, I'm done. I'll see you guys in the next video or whatever. Bye.